This podcast is sponsored by Dollar and Hardware. Activate your alter ego with Dollar and Hardware and start seeing life through a different set of lenses. Shop dollarandhardware.com. Tell them Demetrius Lee and Angela Lee in the Lee Life Experience Podcast sent you. Thank you.
Hi, welcome to Lee Life Experience Podcast. I want to go ahead and give you a disclaimer. Demetrius and I are not licensed therapists. We are just giving you our perspective of what your topic is and getting you based off our experiences. You will have to hire you a licensed professional, or even if you need an attorney, make sure you get the right people for the right category. Listen, but if you would like to get your topics heard and hear our perspective, go ahead and text us now. 833-370-1608. Put relationship in the comment and I'll be sure to respond back. So Demetrius, how you doing today?
I'm doing good, honey bunch. Thank you for asking.
All right, where you want to take this conversation to today?
I think about we need to go to Traumatize. People been traumatized.
And carrying it into a relationship when they're not healed.
That's correct. That's a good way to put it.
All right, let's go. I got a few things I can add to the conversation.
All right. That's what I like to hear.
All right, you want me to start off?
Yes, ma'am. But just paint the picture for them. Let them know where we going with this here. Because, you know, they probably want to they don't know they're traumatized now. But when we get through, they should know where I'm in the same situation they're talking about. So I guess you want to give them a story or just explain to them what it means by being traumatized.
Okay.
Because, you know, we all been through stuff. And right now, traumatized to me, you bring it into your life right now, your relationship right now going on. Some of you have when you're a little kid, when you're 13, could when you were 6, could when you be 21.
Got it. All right, I'm going to give you the definition of it. I had to ask. And to sum it up in my wording, is being traumatized refers to a psychological or emotional response an individual experience after going through or witnessing a distressing or traumatizing event, a traumatic event. Trauma can be result from a wide range of experiences such as accidents, natural disasters, violence, abuse, loss, and any event that overwhelm the individual's ability to cope. And I'm gonna just stop by there that a lot of us don't know that we still suffering from traumatized. Things happen to us, and I'm saying, and you end up having intense fear, anxiety, nightmares, post-traumatic stress disorder, having difficulty concentrating, a change in your sleep pattern, a change in your eating pattern, a change in your lack of representation. That means you just show up any kind of way, not in recognizable representation. And it's making you hard to maintain a relationship, whether it's being business or personal. So by that being said, I hope somebody have identified you could be experiencing a traumatic experience, and I'm going to speak for myself. By the age, I was 13. I know I was 13 because that's at the time that my mom and dad had separated. And so you taking me from a 2-parent home to now I'm coming from a single mom, and the dynamic of the family dynamic has changed. I remember this guy being in the local area that I was in. He offered to give me a ride. That's number one. I think people, when they say strangers, they keep telling you about the bad touch and not so good touch. But in elementary school, everybody tell you that it's gonna come from a stranger. This man was not a stranger. This person was somebody that I knew, and I knew him from the neighborhood. So nothing told me or warned me that was not okay for me to get in that car in order for him to give me a ride, because I was walking from school that day to go home. I noticed that when we got closer to my entrance, he kept going. And when I asked him, I remember making eye contact. I'm 13. And he said, "Oh, I got to go by a friend's house to get something." And by that time, he pulled over on the side of the road, down a little dirt road, and he looked at me and made eye contact. Immediately straddled his body against mine, hitting the recliner on the front seat, throwing me reclining me back kind of fast. And I remember him, I had on a blue jean acid wash dress and a white shirt. And I remember that was a traumatic experience for me, that this man, somebody that I knew, was older than me, bigger than me, taking advantage of my little innocent self. When I go in for speaking engagements, I make sure I tell people it was like I had an out of body experience, that I could see this man, but I was helpless. I was silent. Even though I was crying and trying to fight, I was overpowered. And even with me moving, it threw me into the back seat. And of course, I was trapped because the car was a two-door car. Escort to be, those four escorts to be exact. So I didn't go and get help. I lied. And the thing is, that abuser kept coming back. And I allowed him to keep coming back because, number one, he threatened me. He told me that he was going to mess with my other people that was in the neighborhood, which would include my sister and two other young girls that was hang with me. So because I was fearful of that, I never told anybody. And even when he finally got caught, even when he got caught up under my bed and he thought it was my ankle, it was my mom's ankle. And she got a broom. Her and my granddaddy beat the crap out of him to get him out of there. And he jumped out the window. The thing is, even when they got ready to sentence him, he still found a way. He was at the courthouse at the top of that building, and he dropped it down on a piece of brown paper towel, and it dropped down like a leaf right in front of my steps. It was like the time was perfect. Scared the crap out of me, and he said, "Please do not send me to jail. I will go to jail for a long, long time." Again, this 13-year-old girl, I seen it and got all the way to the courthouse, and I had to go ahead and tell my mom that I let him in. I lied to cover him just because I was scared and fearful. So, with all that being said, I didn't know I was bringing it into a relationship. No, I never did get healing at that time because it was a traumatic experience. I never really told anybody. I suffered in silence, and only till I seen him, you know, hanging around my family, and I feel like he possibly did it to the other ladies, but nobody. We never talked about it. So, Demetrius, by you being with me for such a long time, is I have transitioned from a younger girl into a woman. Do you feel like you have experienced or identified some of my traumatic experiences, the effect of what I have been through?
Yes, I did. At the time, so you didn't tell me that, but I can tell you how you was acting when I was trying to get close to you, like you was timid all the time around me. Made me feel uncomfortable, like something was wrong with you. And I couldn't figure out why. I ain't did nothing to you yet. I ain't messed with you, but you was always just timid. That's what I can use at the time when I'm talking about when I first met you, and before we got really, really close. I knew something right. Something right with you.
Yeah, well, like I say again, I didn't seek therapy, so I just learned how to suppress it. And I feel like women and men, because men can be traumatized, go through it and they don't know how to identify it. So, Demetrius, have you ever been traumatized or had an experience that traumatized you?
Yeah, I have. You know, when I was a younger man, I mean a little boy. I ain't no man. I mean a little boy. My mama traumatized me, and don't take this the wrong way. My mama loved me, and she still do love me. But I was a bad child. I want to explain to people. I was awful. I wasn't the average child that you could talk to, say, "Sit down, Demetrius, and be a good little boy." No, I was gonna try you. And, and my daddy was on the child, so he wasn't big on whooping kids at the time. But my mama, she kind of like took the role of his role and her role. So when I was, like I said, I was real bad and doing awful thing, awful thing that y'all, the kids, you wouldn't think to do today. But I was doing it, and she would beat me. And I ain't understand why she was doing it, but she beat me. She put me in time out of the room, shut the door on me, cut the light off, you know, tell me it's a rat in there, stuff like that. It kind of it traumatized me,
Mhm.
and I just remember her doing that to me and beating me like that. And when I got older, first I got kids now. So what you think I'm gonna do? I already cut my kids' butt and tear them up, But fortunately, I didn't do that. But I was ready to do. I was ready. And my mama, like we talked about it. Me and mama talked about it, and she, she like I said, she didn't mean to do that, but she had to because I was too rough. If she didn't take control of me, I'd lie been in jail or been dead right now. Like I say, I knew I was a bad child, but at the time, like I say, that stuff traumatized me, and I got older, and it still bothered me. Sometimes to the day, I think about it. When I did it with kids, not being a grandpa, being a daddy, I get aggressive. I had to catch myself. So that's part of my story right there.
What I hope people get from this episode is being how to do a self evaluation. A lot of us don't do it. A lot of us are not aware. Unconsciously we don't realize we can complain about other people, but we're not looking to make sure we are completely healed. And I'm saying it even for me when I have dealt in relationships, other relationships, I was taking one thing on into another one but in order for a therapist to help you, you have to be able to be number one, come clean. Number two, be able to willing to dig deep and heal. And I think a lot of us we carry in our one relationship to the next, and we haven't properly healed. So, thank you for sharing.
I like to add to that, and what you talking about relationship, and I want everybody to listen. I know they're gonna probably say, what are you talking about? I want y'all to think. Listen to what I'm saying to you. You probably been a little kid, been traumatized. Maybe you saw maybe your mama beat you. Maybe your mama did drugs around you. Maybe your daddy molested you. I don't know. Oh, but something happened to you when you was a little kid. Now you in a relationship with this man, and you saw your mom and daddy fight. So automatically, you with this man, you think it's normal to fight with a man. Of course, this man ain't with that. His mom and daddy didn't fight. So he looking at you like, what's wrong with you? Why you? I mean, we talking, we arguing, but why do you want to fight? So that's the one case of traumatized. You could, like, you got raped when you were a girl, like sexual molested. Okay, then you get older, you see a little kid, you do the same thing. What happened to you? See that stuff still follow you.
Mm-hmm.
You got to fix that. That's traumatized. You've been traumatized. You carrying it with you everywhere you go. So anybody listening to this podcast, someone went on your life when you were a little kid. Now you doing the same thing with having you. You need to get help. Don't run from them. Talk to somebody. Go get you some help. I can advise you and tell you who to go see, but you need help. You need to talk to somebody and get that fixed. Cause I ain't no licensed therapist. Wish I would, I can help you like that, but I need you to get some help. Go talk to somebody that can fix you, cause it'll make your marriage better, relationship with your kids better, with your mama. So I just want to pass that on with Angela. I probably got some more to add to it. Right? Just go ahead and let you handle. Gonna take it on for him. I'll come on back in later.
Okay. Yeah, well, I just piggyback off what you're saying because being in a traumatizing situation, you don't know. Traumatizing situations are just like depression. You don't know you there until somebody help you acknowledge it. And if you want to be set free, if you want to know what can I do, because where I am is not a good place. And if you want to go higher, if you want to experience the abundance, and I'm saying it, when you scroll down social media and you can't be happy for nobody, you can't be happy for people who getting married, new relationships, a new house, or the husband is something, or any kind of accolades, and you cannot be happy for them genuinely without you having to be, to tell your story or to being able to take some of their thunder away, then you need to go and get help. And it could be because you haven't been properly loved. Demetrius said all the time when I say, "Do you love me?" And what do you say, Demetrius, when I ask you, "Do you love me?"
I tell you, stop asking me that crazy question. You remember when love, somebody didn't tell you they love you as a little kid. Somebody didn't tell you that.
Yeah, that's what he said. But I knew my mom loved me. I knew my dad loved me. But sometimes it's something called your love tank and your love languages. A lot of us don't know what our love languages are. But it's a book. You all know I know there's a lot of books. It's a book called, I think it's the 5 Love Languages, but I get it for the next clip. I get the name of it.
I just want to say, mama told me one time, she always tell me she loved my mama. Always, right to the day. As I talked to her, she said, "I love you." I had the phone, "I love you, Mitchell Lee, Demetrius Antonio." She told me she loved me. And I asked her one day, "Why you always tell me you love me?" She said when she was a little girl, her mama and daddy never told her that love to her. But she said she know that love to her. She knew for a fact that love her, but they showed her love, but they
They,
didn't tell her.
they didn't verbalize it.
They
Got it.
verbalized it to her.
Got it. Yeah.
And so he told herself, she ever have kids, she gonna make sure her kids know she gonna show them love and she gonna tell them she love them every day. And thank you, Mama. Thank you, Captain Lee. She tell me every day. She told me this morning, Demetrius Antonio Lee, I love you. And, and I think about it now. She did me like that, and I took it on my kids. I tell my kids the same thing. I tell my son, my daughter.
Do you tell your son you love him?
Yeah, I tell him I love him. I don't tell him much that I probably should, but I tell him I love him. I always tell him I love him. I always do.
Well, I think that's something that everybody could practice because, again, I remember Demetrius. I'm talking about Junior now. He was telling me, he said, "Oh, her family don't do all that hugging, Mama." And I said, sometimes you have to set the culture. And by setting the culture, meaning that if you know, and this woman, if you in a relationship, whoever you're in a relationship with, if your love language is that you have to have love notes, you can mold and set the culture and set the environment for that person to do that, if that's what it takes for you. And I'm saying that even for Demetrius, he already know my love language of what it is that I want. So he already know. He know I'm a roses girl. He know he send me a rose, and I don't even have to have a whole bouquet. Even if he go to the store and get me a single rose, roses is my love language. So being able to identify those love languages are things that is traumatizing to you to help you not go through a trigger. And you have to be compatible with somebody who's saying, "Hey, let's help you deal with this." Because Demetrius, you remember when the R. Kelly situation came up and you left me on the sofa?
Yes.
Can you tell them a little bit about my reaction? Did you remember?
We had started reminiscing back what happened to stuff you did in the past. It started bringing it back to your attention. And I told you, get out of there. You watch the TV stuff. That ain't built for you. Yeah, that's what happened.
So you all, I know you all thinking like TV, but I'm just telling you some episodes. I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV in like years. If he called me in there to look at something, but I don't even have a TV over here in my Airbnb. I don't. A TV is not something that I go and get because I don't have to have it. But what he's saying is that even on that had that traumatic experience, he immediately thought, "Oh, that must be a time when you was doing your infidelity and cheating." And I was like, no, he didn't. He was thinking of the surface. He didn't think of the underground and the root. And then only until I told him, I remember those things being done to me. I remember that bad touch. I remember that being confined. I remember couldn't get up. And because that happened to me, I relived it in my 40-something years old. I relived what happened to me at 13. So that 13-year-old young lady, she still was crying out. So some of you all, if you don't get help, no matter what age you was and no matter what age you growing to, you still gonna have that little girl in you that cries out that when she was helpless. And you have to seek medical attention. Professional. Do not go confiding in friends. Go and lay on somebody's sofa to get you some. Again, the disclaimer: Demetrius and I are not licensed therapists. We are just giving you our perspective, and I'm telling you about what happened to me. And can't nobody tell you how to tell your story but you. So seek you some experience if you're ready to deal with it. If you're ready to deal with it, and I know it might sound ugly, and I know people might blame you or shame you, but if it's your truth, you stand on it and you being able to look that devil in the eye. And I'm telling you, I had to go. So on our next clip, we're going to give you some coping mechanisms, things to help and tell you how I was able to move forward. Hi everyone, I hope you have enjoyed the episode so far. You are here with the Lee Life Experiences. And remember, if you want to get your topics discussed or get our opinion or our perspective, join us at text us at 833-370-1608 and put relationships in the comment.